Young and the Restless spoilers full suggest that Eileen Davidson's return as Ashley Abbott could arrive at the most devastating moment possible for the Abbott family, and if the latest hints are anything to go by, Ashley may not simply be coming home to grieve, pray, or stand quietly beside her brother's hospital bed. She may be returning with fury in her heart, a deep sense of betrayal burning through her, and one terrifying question guiding every step she takes. How far will she go to make Patty Williams pay for what she did to Jack Abbott? For the Abbotts, Jack has always been more than just a brother, more than a businessman, more than the proud face of Jabot and the family legacy. Jack is the emotional center of their world, the man who often carries the weight of the family even when his own heart is breaking. So when news spreads that Jack has been viciously attacked, left bleeding, and fighting for his life, it is not just a medical crisis. It is an earthquake that shakes the Abbott family to its core. And once Ashley learns that Patty Williams may be responsible, her return could become one of the most intense and emotionally charged moments on the show. The tragedy begins with Jack Abbott making a dangerous miscalculation. Jack believed he understood Patty Williams well enough to handle the situation with honesty and firmness. He knew Patty was unstable, emotional, and deeply attached to him, but he may have underestimated just how fragile her mind had become and how violently she could react when rejected. Jack made it clear that there was no future for them. He asked Patty to leave the house, and in doing so, he believed he was drawing a necessary boundary. He was not cruel for the sake of being cruel. He was simply honest. His heart belonged elsewhere. Jack wanted a future with Diane Jenkins Abbott, and he did not want to give Patty false hope. In Jack's mind, telling the truth was the responsible thing to do. He believed that once Patty heard his words, she would leave, the painful confrontation would end, and he would be able to wait for Diane to come home. But Jack's mistake was believing that Patty would accept reality the way a rational person would. Patty did not hear closure. She heard rejection. She did not see Jack's honesty as mercy. She saw it as abandonment, and that one moment, that one emotional fracture, may have pushed her over the edge. What makes the situation even more horrifying is the intimacy of the attack. Patty was not a stranger breaking into Jack's life with a weapon and a clear plan. She was someone from his past, someone tied to pain, obsession, and old wounds. After Jack told her there was no future between them, Patty chose to give him one final kiss, a gesture that should have been a goodbye but instead became the last calm breath before violence. That kiss may have been Patty's twisted way of holding onto the fantasy for one last second, as if she could freeze time before destroying the man who refused to belong to her. Then, in a shocking act of rage and desperation, she stabbed Jack in the abdomen and left him in critical condition. Patty may believe that by leaving Jack bleeding on the floor, she has regained some kind of control. She may even convince herself that if she cannot have Jack, no one else should have him either. That is the dark, tragic logic behind her actions, and it is exactly why the Abbott family may soon realize that Patty is not simply dangerous. She is far from finished. Jack's life will hang in the balance as Diane and Kyle Abbott make the horrifying discovery. One moment, they may be expecting a tense but ordinary return home. The next, they are thrown into a nightmare as they find Jack injured, bleeding, and barely holding on. Their panic will likely be immediate and overwhelming. Diane, who Jack shows as his future, will be forced to confront the possibility that loving him may have placed him directly in Patty's path. Kyle, who has already endured more family trauma than anyone should have to bear, will have to watch his father being rushed into emergency care, uncertain whether Jack will survive long enough for the doctors to save him. The image of Diane and Kyle calling for help, desperate and terrified, creates the kind of emotional chaos that the Young and the Restless does best. Jack may not be able to explain what happened. He may not even be conscious, and that silence will give Patty the perfect opening to begin her next move, covering her tracks and shifting the blame away from herself. That cover-up could become almost as disturbing as the attack itself. Patty may not be satisfied with simply walking away from the crime. Spoilers suggest he could try to frame someone else or create enough confusion that the truth becomes harder to uncover. This is where the danger escalates, because Patty's lies could deepen the Abbott family's suffering at the very moment they are most vulnerable. While Jack lies in a hospital bed and doctors fight to save him, his loved ones may be forced to deal with suspicion, fear, and uncertainty. Who would want to hurt Jack? Was this really a sudden act of violence, or was someone planning it? Why would Patty be trusted if her version of events does not line up? The longer the truth remains hidden, the more damage Patty can cause. And for Ashley Abbott, that may be unforgivable. Tracy Abbott will also be pulled into the crisis, and her role may be more important than anyone expects. Tracy is one of the Abbott family's emotional anchors, but even someone as compassionate as Tracy has limits. When she learns that Jack has been attacked and may not survive, she will likely be devastated. There is a strong possibility that Tracy could be the one to inform Ashley about what happened, though it remains unclear who actually makes the painful call. Whoever reaches Ashley, the message will be life-changing. Jack is in danger. Patty may be involved. The family needs her. For Ashley, those words would be enough to bring her home immediately. She knows Jack would do the same for her without hesitation. Their bond has survived rivalries, mistakes, heartbreak, and years of complicated family history. Ashley may be furious with Jack sometimes. She may challenge him, and she may refuse to let him get away with his pride. But underneath all of that, he is her brother. If Jack is fighting for his life, Ashley will be there. Ashley's return could shift the entire emotional energy of the storyline. Diane and Kyle may be trapped in grief and panic. Tracy may be shaken by painful memories and old trauma. But Ashley could arrive with a colder, sharper kind of determination. She will want answers. She will want the truth. And once she begins to understand that Patty may have attacked Jack after he rejected her, Ashley's grief may transform into anger. This would not be ordinary anger. This would be the rage of a sister who has watched her family suffer too many times and refuses to let another unstable enemy tear them apart. Ashley may not storm into town blindly. She is too intelligent for that. Instead, she may observe, question, and slowly piece together the gaps in Patty's story. She may watch Patty's behavior closely and recognize the cracks. She may see what others miss because she knows what obsession looks like, what desperation sounds like, and how a guilty person tries too hard to sound innocent. The eventual confrontation between Ashley and Patty could be the emotional centerpiece of the storyline. Ashley will not simply want to accuse Patty. She will want Patty to say it. She will want to hear the truth directly from the woman who may have left Jack to die. That confrontation could be explosive because both women carry years of emotional history, and Patty's connection to the Abbotts has never been simple. Ashley may press Patty with a calm voice at first, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing her break. She may ask where Patty was, why she did not leave when Jack told her to, why Jack ended up bleeding on the floor, and why every detail of Patty's story feels like a lie. Patty, cornered and unstable, may try to deny everything. She may cry, deflect, blame Diane, or insist that Jack pushed her too far emotionally, but Ashley will not be moved by excuses. To Ashley, nothing Patty says can justify a knife in Jack's abdomen. Nothing can excuse leaving him helpless while his life drained away. And if Patty finally cracks, if she reveals even part of what she did, Ashley's reaction could be unforgettable. The most compelling part of Ashley's return is that her need for justice may clash with her need to remain strong for Jack. On one hand, she will want to stay by his bedside, to talk to him, to remind him that his family is there and that he must fight. On the other hand, she will be unable to ignore the person responsible for putting him there. That emotional tension gives Ashley a powerful inner conflict. Does she sit with Jack and pray, trusting others to expose Patty? Or does she take matters into her own hands because waiting feels like betrayal? Ashley is not someone who easily stands by when the people she loves are threatened. Her history has proven that she can be elegant, strategic, and deeply emotional all at once. In this case, those qualities could combine into something dangerous. Ashley may not seek reckless revenge, but she may seek a form of justice that feels personal, relentless, and impossible for Patty to escape. Tracy's pain may be even more complicated because Patty's connection to her past cuts deeper than this attack on Jack. Patty was responsible for the death of Tracy's daughter years ago, and that old wound has never truly vanished. It may have softened around the edges with time, but it remains part of Tracy's emotional history. So when Patty once again brings violence and devastation into the Abbott family, Tracy may feel as though the past has returned in the cruelest way possible. Her grief over Jack's condition could reopen the grief she carries for her child. That is why Tracy's desire for revenge could be so powerful. Tracy is often seen as gentle, thoughtful, and forgiving, but forgiveness is not the same as weakness. When she admits she wants to beat Patty with her bare hands, it reveals how much pain has been forced back to the surface. Tracy may not act on that impulse, but the fact that she feels it shows just how deeply Patty has wounded her again. This could create a fascinating contrast between Ashley and Tracy. Ashley's anger may come through as sharp, controlled, and focused. Tracy's anger may come from a place of raw emotional exhaustion, a woman who has tried for years to live with loss and suddenly finds the source of that pain standing in front of her again, causing more destruction. Together, Ashley and Tracy could become a formidable emotional force. They may not need to physically harm Patty to make her pay. Their determination alone could expose her lies, break through her manipulation, and ensure that no one looks away from what she has done. But The Y&R the Restless thrives on moral tension, and this storyline could ask a difficult question. When someone has destroyed so much, how far is too far in the name of justice? Diane's position in this story will also be emotionally charged. Jack chose Diane, and that choice may have been the final trigger for Patty's attack. Diane may struggle with guilt even though she is not responsible for Patty's violence. She may wonder if her relationship with Jack placed a target on him. She may feel helpless as she watches the Abbott siblings arrive, each carrying their own pain and anger. Diane may want to protect Jack, but Ashley and Tracy may not immediately be focused on Diane's feelings. Their priority will be Jack and the truth. If Patty tries to blame Diane or manipulate the situation to make Diane look guilty, that could add another layer of tension. Ashley may have to decide whether to trust Diane's version of events or keep her distance until the facts become clear. But if Ashley realizes that Patty is using Diane as a shield to escape responsibility, her fury toward Patty could become even stronger. Kyle's heartbreak adds another layer to the family crisis. Seeing Jack vulnerable will likely shake him to his core. Jack has always been a complicated but powerful presence in Kyle's life, and the possibility of losing him could force Kyle into a state of desperation. Kyle may be angry, terrified, and eager for answers, but he may also be emotionally overwhelmed by the medical uncertainty. The doctors will be doing everything they can to save Jack, but there may be no guarantee. Every update from the hospital could feel like a life-or-death moment. Every delay could make the family fear the worst. In that environment, Patty's lies will feel even more monstrous. She did not just attack Jack, she attacked the entire family's sense of safety. She turned their home into a crime scene and their future into a question mark. As Jack fights for survival, the Abbott family's hope may become their strongest weapon. They will gather around him, believing that their love can somehow pull him through. Ashley's presence at his bedside could be especially emotional. She may speak to Jack as if he can hear every word. She may remind him that he is stubborn, that the family still needs him, that he is not allowed to leave them after everything they have survived. Tracy may break down quietly, holding onto the idea that Jack has always come back from impossible situations before. Diane and Kyle may cling to every sign of improvement, every movement, every breath. But beneath that hope, rage will continue to build. Because if Jack survives, the family will want justice. And if Jack does not recover quickly, their need to punish Patty may become even more intense. The question now is whether Patty will confess, collapse under pressure, or continue weaving a web of lies until Ashley and Tracy tear it apart. Patty may be unstable, but that does not mean she is harmless. In fact, her instability makes her more dangerous because she may believe her own excuses. She may convince herself that Jack betrayed her, that Diane stole him, that the Abbotts never understood her, or that she is somehow the victim. That distorted thinking could lead her to make even more desperate choices before the truth fully comes out. The Abbott family may soon realize that exposing Patty is not only about punishing her for what she did to Jack, it may also be about stopping her before she hurts someone else. Ashley's revenge may therefore take the shape of truth rather than violence. She may want Patty cornered, exposed, and forced to face the consequences of her actions in front of everyone. That would be a fitting form of justice for Ashley Abbott. She does not need to lose control to be dangerous. Her intelligence, her loyalty, and her emotional discipline are enough. If Patty thinks she can manipulate the situation while Jack lies unconscious, she may be making the same mistake Jack made earlier, underestimating the emotional force of an Abbott pushed too far. Ashley may arrive in Genoa City not as a grieving sister alone, but as a woman determined to protect her family's name, defend her brother's life, and make sure Patty Williams never gets to rewrite the truth. In the end, this storyline could become one of the most powerful Abbott family dramas in recent memory because it brings together love, guilt, revenge, trauma, and loyalty all at once. Jack's attack is the shocking event that pulls everyone back into the same emotional storm, but Ashley's return may be the turning point that changes the entire direction of the fallout. Tracy's old wounds will resurface, Diane's future with Jack will be threatened, Kyle will be forced to face the terrifying possibility of losing his father, and Patty's lies may begin to crack under the pressure of a family that refuses to let her escape accountability. The biggest question is not only whether Jack will survive. It is what the Abbotts will become if he does. Will Ashley choose justice or revenge? Will Tracy be able to contain the rage that Patty has awakened in her? Will Patty finally confess what she did, or will she drag the family into even deeper chaos before the truth comes out? One thing seems certain. If Ashley Abbott returns to Genoa City because Patty Williams nearly killed Jack, then Patty may soon learn that attacking one Abbott means declaring war on them all.